Students on UCLAN's broadcast journalism course were given an insight into life in a busy news studio when Granada Reports and ITN national and international news presenter Lucy Meacock recently visited the Preston campus.
Have you ever rehearsed an open-ender? You know what open-enders are? So you can't Google it because you haven't got it. I didn't until quite recently. And it's so obvious when someone says it, but it's a story so big that you go on air not knowing when you're going to come off air. I know what a fantastic job UCLAN are doing producing the next generation of journalists. And what I'm trying to do is persuade some of those journalists to go into presenting. There is this great idea that a lot of people want to be presenters, but what I want is for the best journalists to become presenters. I never wanted to be a journalist. I never wanted to be a presenter when I started out. I was very interested in the journalism, and I think that's the way it should be. I think you should start off with an interest in journalism and then develop into a really good journalist and then put those skills to work as a presenter. And it's really important that we do it that way round, not people think, I want to be a presenter, I want to be on the television, how do I go about it? It needs to be the journalism first and that natural interest in news. But I got through it, and guess what? He doesn't do Granada Reports anymore, but I do. The media has changed beyond belief since I went into it 25 years ago. The first newsroom I worked in didn't even have computers. We worked with typewriters. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have the internet. The internet is such a fantastic development in terms of researching things. But there are times when you will still be thrown completely in at the deep end as a presenter. You'll be in studio when there's a breaking story. You will have someone put down next to you and you will have to interview them with virtually no research whatsoever because there's something happening at that time. And you have to be able to cope with that with no briefing, no research, no one to wrap you up in cotton wool and look after you. And you have to be able to cope with that as a reporter, and that's why it's really important that you're a journalist as well. And now, as a presenter, you're expected to be able to edit material, you're expected to be able to do the calls, get your own stories, come in with ideas. You don't just sit there and get your nails done or your hair done. It's not like that. Presenting hasn't been like that for a very long time, and we need to change that perception of what news presenting is all about. You're buying that extra time, and you can read that really slowly because it's really serious, because a lot of people won't have heard that before. I hope that the students today will have been given a little bit of an insight into the job of a presenter, a journalist presenter. So I hope that I've convinced them that I'm someone who is interested in news primarily, who happens to be on the television, because that is who I am. I'm not someone who is in this bubble, who is kept away from the rest of the work in the newsroom. As I say, as presenters, we're expected to be able to play a really important part in that team, whether it's keeping up morale, editing, getting stories, doing the calls, whatever it might be. We get involved in all of those things. It wouldn't work if you were sort of very precious about it and didn't want to be part of that. You also wouldn't get the same satisfaction out of the job that you do. So I hope that I've given them a little bit of that. I also hope that, for example, when they go on their work placements, for example, they will feel much more inclined to get involved, ask what's going on around them, because they'll know a little bit more about how the system works. I'd love it if, when they come to Granada, they come up to me and they say, right, so how does this work? What are you doing at the moment? Can we come into the studio and see how you work there? And then I can introduce them to Tony and we can have what will be a really useful work placement for them. And then I hope one day that I will be sitting at home watching some of these people on the television. That's what I hope they'll get out of it. I really want them to be some of the news presenters of the future. That would be terrific. They are such good opportunities, and you know, occasionally we get someone who comes into our newsroom and they sit in the corner and they never talk to anybody. Please come and make contact with us. You know, come and say, can I sit next to you? Can I come into the studio? Can I go into the gallery? Or, you know, wherever you are, go and interact with the people who are there. Now, the chances are sometimes they'll be...
In December 2009, Lucy received an honorary fellowship for her services to broadcasting.
It's a huge privilege to be here today, and on behalf of all of us who've been awarded degrees, I'd like to say a very big thank you. And of course, on behalf of all of the graduates, we never forget those who teach us well. So well done to all of the staff at the University of Central Lancashire. I know you do a fantastic job here. I was completely overwhelmed when I was given my honorary degree. It was a very, very special moment in my career. I've always thought that as a presenter you have to be very self-sufficient. You should never wait for any praise or anything, because it's a long time coming. You know, it's a busy industry. People are so wrapped up in what they're doing and in the news of the day. And I've done live news for the best part of 25 years, day in, day out. It's a relentless job, and quite often you don't get very much feedback. It was the most fantastic bit of feedback you could ever have. I'm not sure that I deserve it, but it was a fantastic honour. I feel really, really proud of it, and I don't think I necessarily look great in the mortarboard, but I loved it, and it was such a special day. It also means now that I have a bond with the university, which is very important to me. I think that they're doing a really good job here of creating the journalists of the future, and that's something that I would like to build on, and I hope that the university will as well. I'm sure quite rightly you'll all be setting your sights very high at the moment. But I just want to remind you that you can set your sights high in the northwest of England. I'd urge you to consider staying here, some of you, or coming back to us one day. I'd love to come back. I feel like I've just scratched the surface of what I could do today. There's so much that you learn in 25 years in the broadcasting business. And the best thing that you can do is hand it on to the people who follow behind you, and in the hope that they will put it to good use as well. And then all of that time has been well spent. So thanks everybody for listening. Have great fun celebrating your achievements today. Thank you.